Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yep.
Okay. Greeting to all audience of this seminar. My name is Tossaphon Sripum. The topic of my presentation today is Sonic Journey to Nirvana, Sense-Making and Religious Experience in Thet Mahachat Ceremony. It is a topic that grew out of my PhD research about a year ago. In my thesis, I have studied the Thet Mahachat, or the recitation of Vesandra Jataka. The aim of my thesis is about how the Thai version of Vesandra Jataka is used in the ritual. However, there are still many questions left for the investigation, especially the sensory aspect of the recitation. Among others, two questions draw most of my attention. The first one is that how the sound of Thet Mahachat is significant to the ritual. And the second one is that how does the sensory aspect of Thet Mahachat help to enhance the ritual as a religion experience? To answer this question, I adopt the concept of religions as sensational forms, introduced by anthropologist Brigitte Meyer. This concept focuses on the relationship between religion, media, and aesthetics. However, Meyer goes back to the original use of the word aesthetics, defined by Aristotle as our total sensory experience of the world and our sensitive knowledge of it. Thus, religion is not only about the theory of texts and gods, but rather how the believers sense their gods, ultimate truth, or the like through rituals, books, actions, objects, or even sometimes to sense nothing. In other words, as sensory scholar David House has said, religion is modes of inducing experiences of divinity or making the transcendental sense able. From this point of view, the word sense constitutes of two mutual meanings, the semantic meaning and the bodily experience. From this starting point, I divided my presentation into three parts. In the first part, I will talk about one of the most popular metaphors in Buddhist canon, the journey to another shore. In the second part, I would introduce the melodies and reciting techniques of Thet Mahachat. In this part, I will focus on how these melodies and techniques are perceived and translated into kinesthetic sense. That is to say, the monk reciter see these auditory components in terms of movement. In the last part, I will discuss how the semantic meaning of the journey metaphor in the text works with sensory meaning of the recitation sound. This integration creates a unique religious experience that still appeals to Thai people up to the present. Now we start from the first part. In the great corpus of Buddhist literature, journey is one of the most popular metaphors. It depicts how long and hard a path one must take to reach enlightenment. For example, in one gatha from Dhammapada, the metaphor appears like this. Please bail out this boat monastic. When bailed out, it will go lightly, cutting off passion and hatred. From here, one goes to Nirvana. What's more interesting is that in the Thai version of Vesandra Jataka, or as it is called Mahachat, the journey metaphor elaborates even more than the original Jataka. Mahachat text used this metaphor on many levels of the story to illustrate the greatness of the enlightenment. Those levels are theme, event, and rhetoric. For the first level, journey metaphor represents the main theme of the story. That is, the Bodhisattva searches for the enlightenment. In Thai, we have a phrase like พาหมู่สัตว์ข้ามห้วงมหันนพภพสงสาร or to bring beings across the transmigration ocean. This is the same as many other Buddhist texts. The second level is that the journey as an event of the story. One of the most significant actions is that characters take a journey out of their hometown, such as Prince Vesandra in exile, Shuchaka's journey through deep forest, and King Sanchaya travels with an army to escort his son back. In Thai culture, these journeys become popular. They are depicted in many arts. Some of them even have new literary texts composed for retelling exclusively. The third level is rhetoric. In Mahachat text, Thai poets have added new parts to illustrate their poetic prowess, which in turn emphasize the significance of this metaphor, especially when Prince Vesantara calls for his son and daughter from the pond by using the journey metaphor. It is one of the most popular parts in Thet Mahachat tradition. This excerpt came from Mahachat Kamluang. This work is composed in early Ayutthaya period in 1482. This work aims to translate the original Jataka directly with few changes. The texts in black are all the words relating to the metaphor which translate from the Katha in green. But when we look at Raya Mahavesandron Chadok, which is composed in early Bangkok period, around 18th century, and still used as the standard text of Thet Mahachat nowadays, we will see the elaboration evidently. The green text describes the components of the ship. The purple part describes the raging storm that would wreak havoc on the normal ship. And the red part describes the spiritual ship that born from the sacrifice of Vesantara children. Moreover, not only the text highlight in this metaphor, the recitation itself also has a special melody used to recite this part. And now I will show you an example from the recitation.
เป็นเยี่ยงอย่างยอดยากที่จะข้ามได้สำเภาลำใดของพาณิชย์ซึ่งจะได้ตกแต่ต่อติดไปโกวาประกอบประกับประดานตอบเรื่องตะกูตะเพียงยิงตรึงกระชับจิตเล็กตีติดต่อความสมน้ำมันจันเกี่ยวเลยเยียวยา
So you can hear the clip, right? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear.
To this point, we could say that the journey metaphor is presented in Vesantara Jataka text on many levels and manners. It is in the crucial parts of the story, and the poets also elaborate this metaphor intentionally. Now we come to the second part. Thet Mahachat is known for its memorable melodies, and it is one of the traditional music that most Thai people in the past heard. For some who is acquainted with this ritual, it is well known that Thet Mahachat melodies are various and unique in tone and rhythm. Each kanda or episodes have their own tone and rhythm. For example, a slow and soothing melody in Thana Kanda, when King Sanchaya begged Princess Masi not to follow Prince Vesantara into the forest and remain in the city.
มักสีเอ่ยพาเจ้าทาลีกันหามาใหญ่จะไปด้วยผัวหรือพระลูกรักอนิจจนิจจาเอ่ย
Or the vibrant and rough tone in Maharaja Kanda that shows the difficulty of Chuchaka's travel into the forest. However, these melodies might sound different, but there are general conceptualization known among the monks reciter. They call these melodies with kinesthetic terms. These are examples of melodies and techniques named. Start from Tamnong Dern. It means walking melody. It's used in narrating the story. The second one is Tamnong Khun, or rising melody. It is used to recite characters' words and feelings. These first two are the main melodies of all 13 episodes of Vesantara Jataka. Next three names in the blue box are specific names for important kanda. Tamnong Ten or Tamnong Klun Kratop Phang, which mean dancing melody or wave lapping the shore melody. These two are the names of Maharaja Kanda's melody. Tamnong Tai Mai Lam Deo or climbing one branch melody comes from Masi Kanda. and ทำนองคุถราชเหยียบกรวด or cripple walk melody come from ชูชกะกันดะ The two in pink box are special melodies that is used in special part ทำนองถกเขมรตีเหล็ก or pulling one's clothes up and hitting iron melody is used when Prince Vesantara call his children from the pond and ทำนองย้าย or shifting melody used when Vesantara gives 700 things to the people town in Tanakanda and the last two in green box are the name of technique that monk reciters adopt from time to time it is a เสียงเหิน or flying voice and เสียงหลบ or hiding voice Not only the name of the melodies and the techniques are in movement terms, the explanation of melodies is also expressed in movement language. For example, this is the description of ทำนองเต้น or ทำนองคลื่นกระทบฝั่ง written by พระครูวิวิตธรรมโกศล one of the expert reciters nowadays. He wrote, Maharashkanda's melody is elegant and grandeur. It goes along the story of a great king.It uses deep voice and recites slowly. The voice must be hummed from the chest and thus called เสียงสวง or chest voice. And it needs to walk the words dancingly with rhythm. It is cheerful and pleasing. I have heard old people talk. They call this melody ทำนองคลื่นกระทบฝั่ง or wave lapping the shore melody. It is truly lapping.The breath laps the chest and the heart, hitting through the throat in amazingly high and low tone. From this writing, the auditory feature is clearly interpreted into kinesthetic sense. Especially, it shows how the sound moves inside the body of the reciter and also gives bodily experience that reflecting literal movement of the wave. If we look more into the sonic feature of the melody,we will see that each melody has distinct features that look similar to the movement of the name. For example, the first melody on the left is fast and percussive. It looks similar to the movement of the hand hammering the hot iron. The melody is used to recite the journey in the raging sea metaphor, so the sonic feature enhances the chaotic imagery. In the right,A picture in the right is shifting melody. Its notes rise and fall slowly, reflecting the semantic meaning of the name, which imply a slowly and calmly movement of a person or an object. It is used to portray the calmness when Prince Vesantara giving donation. In conclude, we see in this part a systematic process of the sound conceptualization.The name and the explanation of the melodies and techniques are depicted in terms of kinesthetic terms, and the sonic feature itself is imitating reality. In the next part, I will discuss how the semantic aspect of the metaphor integrate with this sensory aspect of the sound. Now we come to the last part, but before I discuss the integration in Thet Mahachat, I would like to refer to a work by Zoila Mendoza,a sensory anthropologist. In her work exploring the Andean sensory model, knowledge, memory, and the experience of pilgrimage, she studies the relationship between visual, auditory, and kinesthetic sensory experience of a 3 days, 2 nights pilgrimage up to the mountaintop in Peru. This pilgrimage comes from a myth telling a story of a boy who meets a boy Jesus on the mountaintop.Important elements of this myth constitute of both boy walking, playing, dancing, and singing together. The result of this study shows that the 3 sensory experiences are a crucial part of the pilgrimage. They embody the long walk with music sound and the beautiful landscape, then turn into a religious experience by reenact the important elements of the myth and give the pilgrims a bodily experience that would impress into their memory. When we look back to Thai counterpart, though it is quite different from Mendoza pilgrimage, some insight from her work still benefit the way to study sensory experience in Thet Mahachat. In Thet Mahachat, it is believed to be a true story from the far past. The audience, believers, the audience believe that there are a real Prince Vesantara from the far past. His generosity becomes a sacred deed since it allows him to attain the enlightenment. So listening to the story is also good deeds because it shows people the righteous path to enlightenment. This sacredness becomes the core belief of Thet Mahachat. If a person listens to all the 1,000 katha or pan katha in Thai in one day and one night and donates 1,000 of incenses, candles, flags, and 7 types of lotus, that person will be blessed to meet the next Buddha, Maitreya, and attain enlightenment. Here, the metaphor and the melody plays a great role in turning this belief into a symbolic act. They both co-create the atmosphere of a special auditory kinesthetic experience for the audience, which in turn encourage them to donate during the ritual period. Now I will show one of the most interesting evidence of this integration. During one of the rituals, a monk who recites a part that Prince Vesantara calls for his son and daughter say these words. Who wants to sail with this ship, don't forget to reserve the ticket. But this time, let's call for auspiciousness for the ship. Prince Vesantara compared Ganha and Charlie as a ship. The golden and jewel ships are going to sail now. Whether they can sail or not is up to you. Let's join and help them. Old teacher said that there are 3 classes. The first class costs 20 baht. You can board the ship and look for a place to stand, or you can sit on the mat. The better one is economy class. You can board the ship and sit on a chair. There are also staff to take care of you in every floor. But a special class has sofa and air conditioner, so you can choose any class you want to go. Sadhu. Now we can see that the monks who explain or invite the audience to donate has classified the way or the class of the donation. And after the monk speaking this excerpt, the audience who are encouraged will come out and make donation like the photo on the right. Then the monk will recite the part where Prince Vesantara described a raging sea with a fast melody. So here is where the semantic meaning and the metaphor integrate with sensory experience. The audience of the ritual can make sense of the journey by themselves through metaphor, auditory experience, and the act of donation. This is just one example from many integrations that occur in the ritual. In conclusion, this study shows that the religion experience in Thet Mahachat is constituted of semantic meaning and sensory experience because people can make sense of Prince Vesantara deeds by listening to the story and feel the story by themselves. It fits well with Mayer's definition of religious as sensational form. Both senses also show the process that Thai monks perceive their own reciting craft and reproduce this sensory knowledge into reality through kinesthetics term. And this approach also helps to understand why Thet Mahachat still need to recite with their unique melodies and techniques, not just reading it out loud, nor the melody are extra tool to draw the audience attention, but it is the crucial part of Thai practice to keep their faith. And finally, these approaches provide a new way to study the relationship between the doctrinal aspect of religion and the individual experience aspect of the believers, especially explain the indescribable in the mundane, secular, and everyday life, which might have a secret sense hiding behind. Thank you for your listening.